Enterprise has been diverted to the Moab sector to track a stellar core fragment of a disintegrated neutron star.
That looks cool. The jacket.
We've got a problem. Our core fragment is going to pass by Moab 4 in 6 days.
Moab?
It is urgent that you respond.
Not exactly a welcome, Matt.
We mean you no harm.
Why is Riker looking at him like that?
Stop staring at me.
They are responding.
On screen.
Go
Enterprise.
fuck yourself. Oh.
I will permit a small delegation from your ship inside the biosphere, only to see this matter-energy transportation you speak of.
Guy in the background isn't happy about it.
Yeah, he's got something to say.
Ooh.
Oh, cool.
Nice matte painting.
Look at this model. Incredible.
Okay.
Fair enough.
All right.
We'll see.
I can understand why you're reluctant to leave, Mr. Connor.
It is imperative that we remain.
It would be suicide to evacuate.
Your DNA pattern's chosen?
8 generations.
Eugenics.
We have immeasurably extended the potential of humanity.
Do you think Khan is our god? Even though they've been here for centuries.
No one in this society would be blind, for example. No offense intended.
I can see you just
No.
fine, sir.
Why do you have to go right to him?
Well, my point was just
Thank
that
you, Martin.
Thinking, letting your intrusive
Perhaps
thoughts
you've
win.
also made it clear there are still a few imperfections we're working on.
I'm glad you said it. I was going to.
We have achieved a fully integrated existence, not just among
Not good.
ourselves, but with our environment.
Hey, okay.
Okay.
your presence here has already begun to affect the entire balance of our society.
Yeah, anyway, there's this thing coming that's going to blow you guys up, so,
I've been bred to fill this specific role. We grow up knowing exactly what our society needs from us, what we are expected to do.
Just weird to hear bred in regards to humans.
It is for us an ideal existence, and we will not give it up easily.
We will do whatever we can to help you preserve it.
Mr. Wolf, fire phasers.
Oh, yeah, no, that's if Riker was the captain. Of course, I am curious what Troy is sensing, if anything. I mean, I guess they'd have no reason to be suspicious. He's being pretty open.
Yeah, true.
I've been looking forward to speaking with you.
Hannah Bates is one of our scientists. If there's any way to shore up our defenses, Hannah will find it.
Makes sense. They all have, like, normal names, especially from our time.
Riker to Enterprise. 1 to beam up.
Acknowledged, Commander.
Energize.
He's got the death stare of this episode.
Well, because he knows if he was doing that, what that would mean for him, so he assumes that's what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'd book my next vacation at your hotel if you had one.
Well, in that case, I shall have to have them build one.
Is the planet that small that no one has a hotel? There's no different towns. You ever think about that? When they go down to these planets?
Yeah, they don't show much. They show, like, 10 people.
Oh, and it's always like one centralized location. None of these planets are like big enough like Earth to have like multiple cities, countries, nation states.
Costs a lot of money to show all that.
Don't think about it.
We'd need Hannah on the ship.
No.
Well,
With my theories and their equipment,
Matthew
we might be
Broderick.
able to alter
back
the
up,
fragment's
Colby.
path.
Back up.
We have no idea how molecular transport will affect her DNA.
It won't affect her DNA at all. Energize.
Help him to see the reality of what may happen to his colony. If he makes the right decision, if he's as good a leader as he's designed to be, then perhaps the others will follow.
Based Picard.
It's definitely like a, wouldn't be a grass is always greener because that's where you want to be on the other side of the fence, but more like, they each think their way is the best. Is there a saying for that?
Sorry, I probably shocked the hell out of you, didn't I?
No,
I'll put it back on.
don't. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to embarrass you.
Why else would she think you're wearing that?
May I see it, your visor?
Sure.
Oh, she gonna put it on?
Who gave them the right to decide whether or not I should be here? Whether or not I might have something to contribute?
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, that's right. You don't. Give me that.
We'd have to avoid tractor force rebounding, but that shouldn't be hard.
Sure, with a few modifications. Oh, that's perfect. The answer to all of this is in a visor created for a blind man who never would have existed in your society. No offense intended.
You know what? I don't need the solution.
We're staying.
Now that you've put it that way.
I'm going to prove that I'm better than you. I'm going to find it without that visor.
Yeah, no, but that's how you do a good version of finding a scientific solution.
Yes.
To where I can understand that's also entertaining. Kind of like a number of dystopian, future type things, The Giver, Logan's Run, where it's like, this is what you were meant to do, you don't have an option. But I guess in this society, they haven't had the one, I don't want to do that. Also, in a lot of those examples, they like kill people, and that's kind of what turns them, so.
Right. I'm just waiting if there's going to be some shoe to drop here, or is this it? I don't know.
Well, yeah, because why else would like Martin every scene just be like, like he's got to be hiding something.
Well, he's like that guy from First Contact. I don't like change, and I'll give my life to preserve the idea that we don't, do this.
Yeah.
All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again.
One of the original bangers.
I wish I could do something to help.
You have helped. You've been wonderful these past few days.
Think they're going to kiss here?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm thinking.
Then Riker's going to beam down right in the middle of them. Excuse me,
I'd rather think of us as friends.
Ooh.
Friends.
Friend-zoned.
That just won't do either.
Oh, never mind. He went right past it.
This is wrong.
Terribly wrong.
So yeah. Now Martin's gonna be
that
there.
works.
Martin's gonna be there. Aaron saw the friend zone and he went juke stiff arm.
he'd stiff arm that really well. I totally expected this is terribly wrong. So terribly wrong. No, I'm serious. Oh, I'm serious.
Also, I liked in that last scene real quick, the crickets in the background. They had some background nature noise. Make it feel less like a set.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron, I'm going back to the ship. I'm not going to see you again.
Think they had sex?
I don't think so. Maybe. I was going to bring up Prime Directive. Like, wait, these people haven't reached warp. And I'm like, oh, wait, these are literally people from Earth. So does it cancel out?
Yeah, also, I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think one of the rules of that is like, they were in a doom impending situation. If they did nothing, they would all just die. So they're allowed to step in at that point.
That's what I was thinking as well, yeah.
Bring us within range of the fragment, Ensign.
Aye, sir.
I like her.
And it was a different person at the start of the episode. They're really just rotating through. Just throw someone there.
As long as it's not Wesley.
All right, let's see if it works. Is this going to be the mid-episode? Oh no, it didn't work. Then they got to come up with the last-second solution.
Mid-episode? It feels like we're almost done here.
Nah.
Increasing impulse power to tractor emitters. EPS power
fair.
levels rising.
Forgot he was in this episode.
Yeah. Has Dr. Crusher been in it at all? I don't think so. Worf, has he been in the background?
Bridge, we need more power.
Reduce life support to minimum requirements, Mr. David.
Aye, sir.
But I mean, obviously it's a Troy-centered episode, so
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with her having the ball this season.
The Troy streak continues.
Even Geordi had a good scene here.
Circuits won't hold for long.
We don't need
And I
them
like
for
these
long.
two working together, like no real animosity. I mean, they had that back and forth conversation, but she wasn't aggressive at all. Like just like working together.
Yeah, no. Let Troy have the relationship aspect and let these two just be a power team. That's fine.
Losing life support systems on decks 5 through 9. Evacuation procedures initiated.
Mr. Forge.
Loves those rack focuses.
Termination of all life support in 5 seconds.
1.18.
Now, Mr. LaForge.
Yes, sir.
Ooh!
To data.
The fragment's course has been altered by 1.21 degrees, sir.
Hail the colony.
Nice. Okay.
You've done a wonderful thing for our people. We look forward to honoring you appropriately when you return. Thank you again, Captain.
Look at the killer. You're contaminated.
You left.
Or just in prisoner for life.
Oh yeah, they probably have some weird pact or law. If they leave, they have to be killed or something dumb.
Energize.
I wasn't ready.
All members of the Enterprise crew are accounted for, Mr. Connor.
They've been invaluable, Commander. Thank you again.
If there's nothing else, we can be on our way.
How many colors of the same outfit does this guy have?
I'll have to run a diagnostic in the lab. Unless we seal it in fast, we may have to evacuate.
How long do we have?
It may only be a matter of hours.
He said all that. We'll still have to evacuate anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, brother.
Isn't it amazing after all we went through?
Yeah.
What if she sabotaged it on purpose?
There's no breach.
What are you talking about? Look at it, it's right here. I measured the toxic leak, you saw me.
Anna. My visor's positronic scan would have detected the leak.
The damn thing doesn't miss much, does it?
Why are you doing this?
Thank you. I was gonna say, answer his original question.
I live in a fucking dome.
But why shouldn't we grant them asylum?
We can't do that.
We have to do that.
Oh, hey, Bev.
The society is genetically integrated. Suddenly there would be gaps, missing pieces. It would destroy them.
No, they'd adapt.
He said they can course correct from accidental deaths. I mean, it'd be a mass death, but still.
Computer halt. Captain, I have to tell you something. I've used very poor judgment. Actually, I've acted quite unprofessionally.
Counselor, what is it you say? Take a deep breath.
Connor and I have had a relationship.
I see.
Why does he look disgusted? They definitely had sex.
I should have been more careful.
Troy, don't worry about it. Do you think Riker has ever told Picard, unless he was bragging?
I should have walked away as soon as I saw what was happening.
But you didn't. That's human. We make mistakes. Genetic manipulation or not, nobody's perfect.
Vintage Picard W, of course.
You would ignore the welfare of the
Undefeated,
colony
never
for
lost.
your own selfish interest.
Oh, here we fucking go.
She has been contaminated by the people on that ship.
Mr. Connor, I believe that you and I should talk.
If she's contaminated, you are too.
Colony.
You are not taking her with you.
I'm leaving, and I'll tell you something else. There are at least a dozen others who are ready to go with me.
Oh, she's already been recruiting.
Mark, I think it would be helpful
I
if
want to talk to Captain Picard alone. Thank you, Mark.
Just resign, bro.
I am willing to talk to these people with you, and I will urge them not to make an impulsive choice. But if finally they choose to leave, the Enterprise will not turn them away.
Yeah, it's such a conundrum because it's like, yeah, I mean, it's not his fault that if he accepts people, it'll harm others. Like, he's not the direct result. I mean, he's not the cause, rather. I mean, he is in a way, but...
We will adjust. In a few generations,
We're not willing to stay here a few generations.
Yeah. Yeah. A few generations, like, we'll all be dead.
Yeah.
We are prepared to return in 6 months.
In other words, we are being asked to stay here for 6 months while they pressure us to change our minds.
Woo!
Would you ever choose to live aboard a ship in a bottle, Captain?
I love ships and bottles.
You'll only be putting the people of this colony through unnecessary pain and anguish.
You are the ones causing pain and anguish in this colony. You.
All right, Martin, you're going to need to step aside.
Your character hasn't changed at all. Like, bring something to the table.
Although you got to blame Hannah as well in terms of the like, oh, here's our compromise, 6 months. No!
I mean, she's right, though. What's that going to do? So you have 6 months more to, like, you know...
But I agree with Picard that it's like, yeah, tensions are high right now. Like, you just figured this out. It's all shiny and new. It's like, give it some time. This is a life-altering decision for your whole planet.
It's a great conversation. It's a great conversation.
I replay each step in my mind, looking for the wrong turn, mistake in judgment. I can find only one. As hard as I try, I cannot regret even that one.
I deliver every line in the same way, just like this, no matter what I'm saying.
Don't say that.
Perhaps it's your imperfections which make you so unique.
It's been 5 days, bro.
The Star Trek timing. 5 days is a long relationship.
Yeah. I mean, similar to The Giver, do you think they have, like, set up pairings here, or do you think people just, like...
I haven't gotten that vibe because, well, we've also not seen anyone in a relationship, but...
That's true.
Also, the whole genetic thing, like, do they still even, like, have babies in the same way, or do they, like, do it in a fucking...
Tube?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows, bro?
Incubator?
If ever we needed reminding of the importance of the Prime Directive, it is now. The Prime Directive doesn't apply. They're human.
I'm glad they brought this up.
We may have proved just as dangerous to that colony as any core fragment could ever have been.
Oh!
That was good. Okay. That was...
Yeah, that was like a good example of an additional end scene there.
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
Bro, writing a review. I'm pretty shocked, but I gave it an S.
An S. Holy
Yep.
shit! Wow. I gave it a low key banger. B minus.
Oh, nice. Well, this must be WrestleMania 30 because the streak is over.
Josh finally gave an episode an S.
Finally gave it an S. I was starting to think, like, damn, is that it for the whole series? No, I'm just kidding. But my last S was Redemption 2. Perfect S. And stand by that. Some episodes have gotten close. There have been some good ones. But, wow. I'll start off by saying this was not one where throughout the whole thing I'm like, oh, S, like in love with it. Like there are certain ones like Redemption 2, Remember Me, that are like, almost right away.
This
you
one had to
get
work
that-
for it.
Yeah, you get that feeling. This had to work for it. You gave it a B, and I for a long time was at that B level. But as it went on, the last probably 10, 15 minutes of this episode, the scenes were so good. And, it's funny. A lot of times I talk about, oh, I love Star Trek because I had this certain expectation going into it, and then like it gives me all this stuff I never even expected. But this is actually a rare example of like TNG specifically coming out of TOS. If you would ask me, what do you expect from TNG? I expect episodes like this, but in a good way, in the best way. Like exploring this sci-fi premise, but making it so relatable, so understandable, and the acting. Marina Sirtis, Picard, all of our usual crew. I could tell you kind of weren't a fan of the Aaron actor, but I thought he was fine. Hannah Bates, that actress was great. And then to pick one of your best directors, Winrick Colby, to come in and just so many beautiful shots during all this, like the overhead shot while Troy's playing the piano, all the rack focuses and everything. I mean,
The shot from the biodome where they're by the trees, by the wall.
exactly, yeah. You could take an episode that could on paper be boring. No, you know what, I'm going to say it. This episode's boring. But like that doesn't mean it's bad. Like it's boring in the sense that there's no huge explosions. There's no tense, battle going on or tense the Enterprise is going to blow up. I mean, there's some tension in the whole planet, the fate of the planet.
Yeah, yeah.
But even the fate of the planet, like I don't care about these people that we just met. It's more so about the philosophy of it. Of do they break their tradition and their culture of this firmament, dome type planet because of this situation they're in. And just the conversations were also great, and I love that even at the end, we're not left with an answer. We're not left with like, this was the right thing, this was the wrong thing. It was like, well, we were kind of screwed either way. This is what happened, and that's the end. And I loved it, and it just got better and better as it went along. And it's okay for an episode once in a while to be boring. Like it's okay for it to be dry and just dialogue when you have an expert director and amazingly shot. And let's talk about breaking the trope, or at the very least the exception to the rule of the wall of writers. It looked like there was a whole bunch on this one, but I thought they nailed it, whoever it was that worked on this. And yeah, I'm sure we'll have some little nitpicky stuff on my side that you might bring up, but overall, another Troy-centered episode, and I thought Marina Sirtis was excellent. The turbo lift scene with Picard, amazing scene. Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. And again, this was a last-second S. Like, this was not one I thought going into this, okay, this probably a B. Then I'm like, no, this is really good. I might even give it an A. And then it was like, I couldn't deny it. I couldn't deny it. I loved it.
Yeah, it was good. A lot to unpack there. Yeah, no, this definitely is an episode that definitely had to work for it. I wasn't sure what they were going with at first. I thought it was when's the shoe going to drop? What's wrong with this society? What are they doing behind the scenes that we don't know about? But it wasn't that. Very similar to that of a First Contact type of episode. Maybe even a little bit better, or right on par with it. I can't remember what I gave First Contact. I gave this low-key B. This might be one of those ones where it comes up the more I think about it, because I was already thinking C up until the middle, and then once things started to happen, when she revealed that she was lying, I thought it was going to take a different direction, like, oh, what is she lying about? And like, no, she just wants to leave, and that's it. And the whole idea of the Prime Directive, and no matter what we did, whether we saved them or not, we've changed their lives forever. The whole idea. Every conversation here just talk about life and the human condition and what's right, what's wrong, what they should do. I thought all of it was fantastic, and this is an episode that pleases two parts of the fandom: a little bit of the technobabble stuff and the human drama condition stuff. Sorry for the space battle, fight battle stuff. Nothing for them here. But yeah, this I gave this one a low key B, and they I just love the whole conversation with Geordi and Hannah talking about like, hey, I wish they like didn't say it out front, but like, hey, if I wasn't blind we never would have saved your planet here because of the technology needed. And the whole idea that everyone's been genetically modified to be perfect, that no one ever needs to grow or push past what they're able to do or adapt or modify or become better than what they are. Then to become better than what they are. Like, they're perfect. There's no need to change. And I love that whole idea. It's like through everyone being different and having some faults and problems, we're able to move forward as a society where this place has been stuck probably since they left. It's it was good.
Yeah, you brought up the Jordy and Hannah stuff. That was the first scene where I started to think like maybe we have something special here, because up to that point it was just fine, like I was enjoying it. But when he says that, bringing it up about, oh, I wouldn't even existed in your society. You know, I probably just would have been terminated as a cell. You know, who has the right to decide that? And I was like, ooh, damn, that's true. You know, there's a lot to unpack, but you talked about technobabble. The technobabble scenes were kind of where we were able to do, where we talked over the show in this one. Sorry if that annoyed anybody, but we're never going to be into that. So it's like, for me, it's like, okay, they're doing the technobabble. As long as they can simply explain it to me by the end of the scene what's happening. And they did. They did a really good job of it. And I loved the Jordy and Hannah duo here of working together, and there was no like problems that arose with them. You know, we had the great confrontation scene later on with Jordy, and what a great way to do the reveal of Jordy's visor. You know, I would have picked that up. And but yeah, that whole scene was great. Their duo was great, and you know, the technobabble, even the scene where they're actually doing the tractor thing, and we're like, oh, it probably won't work or whatever. In so many episodes, I could see myself just, you know, like so checked out, not caring. But the story had gotten me invested. The episode got me invested in the fate of these people enough that I was like, oh, I'm actually interested if this does work. And then when it would seem to be successful, ultimately it was. She was lying. When it seemed to be successful, like, oh wow, okay, cool. That was actually a good, nice scene there. And that was something where in a lot of episodes that would have been like the boring B plot. But I thought this was a great balance of A and B plot, because they're both character driven. The character of Troy and Aaron and the characters of Jordy and Hannah, both were done really well.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it was different the way they did it when they were using the tractor beam on the whatever it was called. And we're hearing about, you know, the life support decks and the lights getting dimmer and the bridge is all dark and the, you know, great shot of Picard on the bridge. All that was fantastic. It built the tension up very well. Very different as opposed to the other stuff where it's like, oh, it didn't work. Oh, it worked. The way they let you sit with it and it built it up is very effective. And I'm glad that there was no tension between Jordy and Hannah, because we had the relationship problems with, what was the name? Aaron?
Aaron was the main guy. Yeah.
Aaron and Troy, yeah. And they had their issues. Well, these two can be a power team. And then that switch was great when like Jordy just appears behind Hannah. Hannah, what are you doing? Why are you lying? But yeah, I did not care for the Aaron character, just everything monotone and delivered in the exact same way.
Yeah, I don't think he was like an Oscar-winning actor or anything, but it was just, I thought TV actor, he was fine. Yeah. Not the strength of the episode.
Yeah, no, not the strength. Same thing with Marvin either. If you're gonna have Martin, yeah. If you're gonna have a character like that, give him more.
Yeah, I wanted to actually look him up. I'll do that in a little bit, because he looked pretty familiar. I don't know if it's
same here. He did look familiar. But if you're gonna have a character like that antagonistic, I mean, obviously don't have him be like the actual secret villain. That would have been too high. Similar to like a First Contact type deal, where he's like the saboteur, whatever.
Yeah.
But something more than just.
I mean, yeah, it just felt like his role in the episode was the kind of afraid of change, you know, mentality of like everything the way we have it here is perfect. What I was really glad with was, in the beginning of the episode, I totally thought, remember I was even talking to you about it, where I was like, I think there's something we're missing here, or something we don't know that Martin's gonna, you know, reveal. Or then with the Hannah thing, when they're like, we'll accept you back, and she gets all worried, I'm like, oh, are they gonna kill her or something gonna happen? No, there's nothing nefarious here.
She just doesn't want to go back.
Yeah, it's truly just the different opinions, and in a way, I don't know if I give the credit to Colby's direction or the writing, what it was, but like, it almost threw us off the scent, where like we come from episodes like Violations, where it's so clear that Jev, was that his name, like was the evil guy the whole time, from just like the music swelling up, you know, in his look. Here, I thought it was gonna be the same thing, but then for it to not be the case, threw me off, and I was like, oh, okay, it's actually just this difference of opinion.
I just want to leave, yeah.
Yeah.
And I love when an episode can have two dueling arguments, and it's not so obvious to one side is right. Where every single scene, no matter which character says what, I'm like, oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. Because that's like, what this show is about.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, do I support eugenics? No. But in the way that it's presented here and what they're talking about, when they're having the conversation in the conference room, and Picard's like, or no, I apologize, I'll take it back. I think it might have been Troy and Picard in his office, and he's talking about like, Okay, I'm thinking of two different scenes. So first, the conference room, when he's like, basically they're talking about when you do this genetics, you're taking away the need for like inventions. And Hannah's like, I've seen some of the greatest stuff in the last few days here. And he's like, well, maybe it's because of desperation. And I get that, but I also am not a fan of the whole idea of like, oh, well, if people don't suffer and don't have everything that, if they don't have problems in their life, then everyone's just going to be lazy and not invent anything. And it's like, okay, you shouldn't use like suffrage or like things being a problem as like a mandatory thing so that we can innovate. I think there's like something to it, right? Like you think about like the Wall-E future, right? Like there's something to it, but at the same time, we shouldn't purposefully, like if we could make solutions, we should do the solutions, right? Like we shouldn't have not do the solution because it's like, well, then how are people going to suffer and make things? So I like the both sides of it. And then when Troy's talking to Picard, and Picard's like, oh, well, imagine my life, it was just preset, and I didn't, I had this destiny, like, I wouldn't want to live that way. And Troy's like, I don't know, I don't think so, me either. And I agree with that in principle, but then it's like, okay, but what about, diseases? Or like, okay, would you feel that same way if you had been born a kid who had cancer when he was 5? Probably not, right? You would wish that your life had been predetermined to something better. So it's like you're saying that, Picard, because you're the captain of the Enterprise,
But that kid never would have gotten to live. I mean, what's better, that kid not living at all or living with cancer? I mean,
yeah, exactly, yeah.
I mean, there's obviously different factors and everything. It's not just A and B or black and white. There's many different. It's like, oh, this kid's gonna have super strength, kill him, or
yeah.
But yeah, it's not a simple conversation that us two are gonna solve right here in these chairs.
And I'm glad that the episode didn't try to solve it. Like the episode didn't present it as these people are bad and this lifestyle isn't right. Like that's why I loved the open-endedness of it. And like, yeah, in today's society here on Earth, like, yeah, we can't implement what they're doing. Like that's impossible. But they set it up in a sci-fi way to make it believable. Where this race of humans. I guess what would you call it? They're not a different race, but like this subset of humans or whatever. Yeah, they've done this over generations to where you don't have to worry about like the messiness of, implementing eugenics. It's like they've already been doing this, so now let's deal with the repercussions of it. And I find that basically the perfect way to use sci-fi. So I really loved it.
Yeah, I was worried at first because they've dealt with eugenics before in Star Trek. I was worried like, oh, didn't we already do a story like this? But this. And also comparisons to First Contact, of course. But I think that this episode was able to pull from a lot of different Star Trek episodes and create its own very good episode. And I love the idea that, like, no matter, like, Pandora's box, whether they opened it or not, or Schrodinger's cat, just no matter what they did with this planet, what was going to happen if they never, like, if they never opened it, or if they did open it, I don't know. It's really good. This is a really good episode.
Yeah, and you brought up First Contact, the episode. At the time, we were like, oh, First Contact, this is like the Prime Directive episode. I still feel that way because, I mean, we totally forgot or didn't think about it. Like, oh, of course the Prime Directive wouldn't apply. They're humans.
But they brought it up. They brought it up. I'm glad
yeah.
they brought it up, yeah.
And what's really cool about it is we kind of saw like a situation where it showed the importance of the Prime Directive while like not having to deal with it. Like in the episode, they weren't like, oh no, but wait, the Prime Directive. That wasn't because they were humans. They just bypassed it. But then at the end, it was like, oh, see, this is why the Prime Directive is important. And what a great way to show. So now when we come across an alien civilization in the future in Star Trek, we can think back to this one and be like, oh, like this is a perfect example. We never really saw the firsthand of the unintended consequences of messing with a society, and I thought this was the perfect example of it. But I don't want to let you off the hook. You gave it a B-. So was it just the guy's acting, or what else did you not care for?
That guy.
Were you bored?
Martin. Just that first half, I was really questioning. I'm like, I don't want to just completely change my whole rating. I mean, I bumped it up from a C to a B, but that last half, because this might be, I know how you feel about Darmok, but in terms of Darmok and this episode, they're both very high up there in terms of important Star Trek episodes for life, for understanding, or just like an important lesson, not like beating you over the nose, like, hey, Cold War was bad. Yeah. But I might bump it up to an A when we do that, but...
I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I love that we have a different grade on it. That's why I just wanted to make sure you have the space to flesh out your thoughts because I'm very enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, no, I get it. No, I think one of the strongest things an episode can do, especially with when Geordi gets on his, his stuff, is make it very humanable and relatable, and have it come together and solve it, like have those things come together as one, as opposed to with Data and majority of the one episode, the previous episodes, where they're just no, they weren't here. They were here. Oh, they weren't there. Oh, that's it. We solved it. Every coma happened when that guy was there. When this brought a little emotional resolution to it, and part of the conversation was a little bit cliche with him like, wait, say that again. You know, when I'm having the exact conversation.
Oh, when he realizes.
Yeah, a little cliche, a little TV cliche, but that's fine. But it kept me hooked. That story kept me hooked, and the whole idea, like, well, hey, you know, I wouldn't even been born in that conversation. So yeah, that kept me interested. Does LeVar Burton have a little touch of gray going on? You notice that?
Oh no, I didn't. No,
I think he's got a little touch of gray going on.
All right, yeah. He doesn't use the hair dye where the visor covers. Yeah, interesting.
No, but very enjoyable episode, very important episode.
Entertainment value. This isn't up there for me with, you know, Remember Me or Redemption 2 in terms of like I loved it as a TV episode entertainment. I'm finding myself on the other side of the fence with this one of like, is it the most entertaining TV episode? No, but it's important for Star Trek. And it's like, this is what, to me, Star Trek is about, among a number of things. It's about a number of things. But, like, to me, this is like, you know, this is going to be one of those for me when people, you know, if people were to ask her, like, I feel like I'm going to remember this one for a long time, looking back, where it's like, yeah, this one was like, I'm not going to maybe sit down and watch it all the time. It's not the most exciting, but it's like, damn, that was a good, like, what I think Star Trek should be.
It's one you're going to think about.
And kind of what I had hoped TNG was getting into it. Like, you could roll back the tape if someone wants to go through that work. But, you know, I'm pretty sure, like, I think back to Justice as an example in season 1, where I was, like, high on that episode at the time. But I even said, like, I feel like this is what TNG could be, but they're not there yet. And this is kind of a similar episode. We even referenced The Flowers, where they're there now. You know, and I just wish it didn't take until season 5, but it's fine. You know, okay, we're here. Hopefully we get more episodes like this.
They didn't have it figured out yet in Justice. They had it figured out now.
Yeah, it's like, it's okay to be a boring episode. And when I say boring, I mean, like, you know, it's a very dialogue heavy and not a lot is going on. If, like, the story is truly, really engaging, when you have such great actors like they do in this show, they're able to carry it. And then you get a great director like, you know, Rick Colby. They're able to carry this and make it not to where you're totally checked out. You know, I know we have a different opinion, and I'm in a huge minority when it comes to Darmok. You know, that one, I got what they were doing. It just, I didn't get invested. I feel like we're just the opposite here, where I probably got a little more invested than you did because of that first half. I'll fully be transparent. I a lot of times, like, you know, what's that last taste? Like, how was the end of the episode? And this one, for me, that last 10, 15 minutes really shot it up. It was in that B range for a while for me too, but it really shot it up.
Yeah, that last 15 minutes was a masterpiece. Absolutely fantastic.
Same way that if the last 10, 15 minutes completely goes off the rails, it's hard to
yes
remember how good the earlier stuff was, like in a Captain's Holiday, for example.
It's an overall C with a 50%. And we got 24% B, 18% D, 4% A, 3% E, and 1% S. So,
I'm in that 1%. I'm the 1%er.
Oh, there's one vote here. It's from us. Was that you?
Ironically, side story. When we first started wrestling, I had an idea for a gimmick where I'm like, oh, I'm going to be the 1%. I don't know if you remember
Yeah,
this.
I do remember
I was
that.
like, I'm going to be the 1%. And Ritters, you know who that is, was like, oh, like what, like 1% milk? So I just dropped it, you know, because I'm like, oh, obviously it sucks. A few years later, what was it, EC3?
EC3.
Yeah, 1%. I'm like, motherfucker.
Ritters derailed their whole career.
Now, EC3 is like jacked and looks like a wrestler, so the gimmick works better for him. But what the fuck?
This completely derailed your whole...
Just don't listen to anybody. If you ever have an idea and you think it's cool, just don't listen to anyone that tells you it's not.
There's a lot of people in wrestling say that. Just listen to the advice and say, okay, then do what you're going to do anyway.
So anyway, back to the list here. A little bit surprised. We'll see why. We'll see why they gave it that rating. Are you surprised by that, or is that?
With our pay, I expected it at least to be, especially for this one. I can understand. Support. It's not, but a 50% C. I don't know. It's a little surprising, especially this. I consider this very similar to Darmok in terms of the importance of the human condition and all that. So.
Well, I'll start out here with, this is Thomas Cole. I think this is an interesting one. I do really like the questions that come up in this episode, and the characters are all interesting and well acted. I just wish Deanna was used more than, oops, time for her to fall in love with a random stranger again. And I disagree. I mean, I agree with the first part of liking the questions. I disagree. I didn't feel that's, you know, that's just a wrinkle of the story. And like she brings it up to Picard in almost like she feels bad or feels guilt. And like I joked about it, but I'm being serious. Do you think Riker has ever felt guilt for sleeping with any of these aliens? No. He literally slept with, go back to the episode with his chest hair. I forget what it was called. Angel 1, maybe?
Oh, God.
And he didn't care if he slept with a leader. It's like, so it's like, I'm not trying to make it a gender thing, but it's like, Troy, first of all, yeah, it's probably not the right thing to do, but you're fine, which is basically what Picard said. And secondly, I feel the conversations between her and Aaron were excellent in this. Like, this kind of forbidden relationship type of thing. We don't get to fully dive into it, but it's just a part of the story. I really liked it.
Yeah, I liked their relationship and the forbidden part of it. Her conversation with Picard was probably the worst part of it, especially with her feeling all this guilt, especially with everything after you just said. Troy, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. You don't need to worry about this. If she brought it up in the sense of Prime Directive and interfering, yeah, but just saying she had relations with someone.
But I don't think you say it's the worst. Like, I loved that scene.
It was a good scene. That's the worst part of the aspect.
Yeah, but I love that it makes sense. Like, she doesn't do this like Riker. Like, she would feel differently. Riker's not going to give a shit. He does all the time. But this is probably her first time.
Okay,
I'm trying to think back.
Her, yeah.
I'm trying to think back if she's had any, like, hookups with characters that mattered. Like Rawl, she wasn't messing with anything, hooking up with him.
The quarter Betazoid guy.
That was Rawl. Yeah.
Oh, that was Rawl. Okay. I'm not gonna remember.
Yeah. No. Fair enough.
This one's from Ross Townsend. This episode always feels like some Elon Musk nonsense. And then quotes. Oh, Khan, yes, wildly unsafe. But what we have here is us doing the same thing without permission, and it turned out great. Pay no attention to the opinions of the workers here. Yeah, that's the weird part. So this was after Khan. I think they said it's only been a few centuries.
Yeah.
And they left Earth and they started this colony. And I can't remember if they said it was legal or allowed. I mean, I can't remember the exact details of how they got there. But yeah. But also Khan didn't reemerge until 100 years ago. So, and they left.
They probably wouldn't even know about
centuries ago. Yeah.
They probably knew about the eugenic wars or whatever. I don't know if this is like a spin-off of that, because that's what like the whole thing was like. There's these wars, and then Khan took his people and escaped.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But yeah, I mean, I do think it's interesting how we unfortunately just don't have the time to hear the opinions of any of these other people. So we do just kind of have to believe in a propagandist way that they're fine with it, which obviously that's not the case, because then at the end of the episode, there's already a group of people ready to leave. So that part of it's definitely weak, but that's, in my opinion, not the point of the story. So I don't really care. It allows for the conversations, but yeah.
Yeah, this isn't one of the ones where you go back, well, actually, in terms of it's isolated story here.
Yeah,
let's not worry about what Khan's doing.
Well, we do that all the time. A little bit hypocritical of us.
A little bit. When it's something I don't like, absolutely.
Yeah. This one's from Darren. I usually skip this one when watching the series. Maybe you guys in your reaction will compel me to watch. You guys do see things in episodes that I don't. Did we? Let me know.
Well, I appreciate the compliment. This one's from Paul Reimer. Deanna has a dreadful taste in men. I agree.
Yeah, well, I mean, Jovette says here, save Riker. I mean, would you count Riker in there, or?
I mean, he's not the best part. I mean, also, I'm not going to pretend they know their relationship here.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up, we didn't talk about it in the violations discussion, real quick. And that scene, that we see of them, who knows what actually happened, but like, he says like, oh, have you still think about us? And she's like, no, not while we're both serving on the same ship. Is that why they're not together? Because they've never brought that up. Like, oh, we're on the same ship, we can't. It makes sense. I just thought it was weird that they threw that line in that episode when it's like never been actually discussed.
Yeah, is that a bone to the audience of why they're not together?
I guess. I don't know. Joe Concept says, I like this one. Nothing spectacular, but a typical mid-level TNG episode. I think it's the start of a pretty solid run of episodes after a run of bad to mediocre ones. I mostly agree with that. Obviously, I like it more than Joe, but one thing I would say is a typical mid-level TNG episode, God, do I wish this was. Like, if this was the standard for what a TNG episode could be, like, that would be an amazing standard, And in a world where they were this good or better, like, yeah, this could be maybe a C or a B. But for me, I've wanted this stuff since we started the series, and we haven't really gotten it, in my opinion.
Unfortunately, the idea of a mid-level episode in TNG right now is the Jim Carrey guy episode. That's just...
Yeah, I mean, I would put that even below, honestly, because I did not care for him at all.
But yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, unfortunately, that's where the mid-level is. Unfortunately, that's where it is.
The range would probably be between that and, like, as far as recent ones, like the Worf and Dorf episode, yeah. I'll just say in general, there's a lot of people saying that it was boring or that it was dull. I agree. It's like I'm not even going to disagree with that. But as someone, I mean, it's funny, we get sometimes a claim that we don't like it because there's no explosions. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I get accused of not liking boring things all the time.
Yeah, it's like no, I love boring things when they're good.
Yes, boring things can be very well done, and I've heard Mike Stocklasser say like people call something boring, that means it's challenging, which is a way to look at it. Like a film can be slow and challenging. I don't agree with that at all.
It can be. Yeah.
No, some things are slow for the sake of being slow and uninteresting. But I brought this up, but I think in our whatever this is, I saw a film called Small Things Like These. It's a film with Cillian Murphy. It's filmed in Ireland, very small, low budget, and nothing happens in that movie, and I fucking love it. It's great because of subtle, great acting and some great dialogue. Very small, but nothing happens, and that's great. But then there's other films where nothing happens, and I'm like, get off your high horse.
Yeah, there's a fine line. Yeah,
there's a fine line. Slow for the sake of being slow and art. There's definitely a fine line.
I'll read this one from Colomamini. This episode plays better after having watched it for the first time in 30 years. The idea of a society that prevents poets from becoming bricklayers is certainly intriguing, and I did love that scene as well, where Aaron was like, what if there's someone out there who's a laborer, and he's actually a great poet? How many Einsteins have been lost because they weren't properly guided? Or if they were born into poverty, born in the wrong family, etc., I would add. An excellent guest cast, and finally a Troy episode which is a strong story for the character. The ending scene has always bothered me, as if the episode ended mid-sentence. That's a good point. B for breach ain't there.
It was. I wish it just ended. Of course, I do wish it ended with them, just in Picard's ready room. Of course, I wish it ended like that, but I wasn't too upset with it because it did just end right there, and not with the big goodbye type ending.
Yeah, and I also love that it was like, it's mid-sentence because they don't have the solution. So they're not telling us what the solution is.
Yeah, it's true. And maybe they just left after that. I wanted to bring up, who's that? He's a scientist guy. He's got a mustache. He has this very deep voice. He's on Rogan sometimes.
Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Neil deGrasse Tyson. So he had an interesting, I was scrolling through TikTok and one of his videos started popping up. And he said something along the lines of, with all the amazing possibilities of people that can be born and won't be born. There's more people that won't be born that can be born. So live your life to the fullest, because there's infinite amount of possibilities of people that won't be born. So it's like, it's crazy that we're here right now existing. I'm like,
yeah,
that's a very good point. That very similar related to this story in terms of a perfect genetically scientific society and real society. It's life is scary.
Yeah, people talk about, oh, we're nothing. We're just a speck of dust in this whole universe, looking at it from a secular perspective. Oh, we mean nothing. And it's like, yeah, that's one way to look at it. But if you look at it from the other perspective, like, holy crap, how lucky we are to even be alive. If we are this speck of dust, like, how amazing that is. So, I find it very interesting.
Yeah, my parents got together and then separated and had 2 kids with 2 other people. It's like, how lucky I am that I was just a random encounter.
Yeah, and then you won a race with thousands of other bodily fluids.
Yes, that's true. I won the race. Tyrannus fan. Meh. The guy playing Prime Minister is dull. It drags the whole episode down. I wouldn't say dull, just very one note. Not dull in terms of boring, but dull in terms of, okay, let's see. I mean, during his scene with Picard, the 2 leaders talking to each other, that's a great scene. And a very good scene where I'm like, oh, that's a good point. That's a very good point, too. But other than that, yeah, very...
Yeah.
It's like, okay, brother, let's take a couple notes here from Winrick and change what you got going here.
This one's from Lovak. Wow. Looking at everyone else's comments, this is apparently one of the few TNG episodes where I'm far more favorable than the crowd. A for me. Great concept, great guest cast, rich and increasingly relevant themes, excellent script that honestly explores the pros and cons of such a society, and some powerful emotional beats. Example, Troy accepting responsibility for her error, and judgment to Picard, and Geordi acknowledging the irony of Tech and his visor being part of the solution. This is one of my hidden gems of TNG, clearly underrated in my honest opinion. And I think Lovak and myself, and even you as well, are the defectors here.
Yeah, I would consider myself that. That's what I love about this show so much. We can look at this show, an episode like this, and be like, oh, this is fantastic, wonderful, and other people can have completely different opinions on it, and other people can have the same opinions as us, maybe slightly different, and because some episodes of TV, it's very black and white, where everyone thinks, oh, this is great, or that everyone thinks this is terrible. But with this show, there's no, it's a rainbow, you know. It's a colored TV. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, and also just to give it a little shout out as well is why I love the patron takes, because you can look at these polls and you can look at the IMDb scores and you can look at the YouTube comments and you can be like, oh, there is like a very heavy consensus opinion around every episode. But then we jump into these patron takes and basically in every single one of them there's voices in there that are defectors, that are against what people other people say. And I know there will always be that about anything, any media to an extent, but it really does interest me how I think we can all agree the show is good. But it comes down to episode by episode, these differing opinions, and that's what's great about a episodic show, about a not serialized show that I'm afraid of losing as we move on here in the journey.
I know it's not going to last forever, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that we're already through season 5 right now. It's like, I remember I was looking at Picard on the screen. I was watching. I'm like, oh my God, we've been doing this for 5 seasons. It kind of like hit me, like, especially in terms of today when a season of a TV show takes 12 years to come out.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, oh yeah, these came out super fast back in the day. But in my mind, I'm thinking, where am I? What's season 5? It's like we're in the good times right now. Let me sit down and enjoy this for a bit before it's over.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Season 5 we persevere. Josh and Alex chart the skies, warping forward as chaos flies. Riker's grin, a battle cry. Crusher's brilliance lights the sky. Data's mind a beacon bright. TNG was a deadly spike. Shields up high, we're breaking through. Phases charged, our aim is true. Moonlight twist, the fire ignites. Boldly onward into the night. Warp factor, chaos engine scream. A voyage built on starlit dreams. Through fire and flame, the cosmos bends. The Enterprise flies, the journey ascends. Warp factor, chaos hearts collide. With every love, the stars align. Boldly they go, no end in sight. Season 5 takes flight. Anthe's fall to scorching critique. Virtue speeches reach their peak. Holodeck worlds in turmoil turn. Lessons taught and bridges burned. Finder's gift, a master's hand. The God's command, the voice that stands. Through the madness, what truth remains. TNG courses through our veins. Warping fast, the time is near. Stories clashes, chaos steers. Engines roar, the stars ignite. Boundless journeys, endless fight. Warp factor, chaos engines scream. A voyage built on starlit dreams. Through fire and flame, the cosmos bends. The Enterprise flies, the journey ascends. Warp factor, chaos hearts collide. With every laugh, the stars align. Boldly they go, no end in sight. Season 5 takes flight. A voyage built on starlit dreams.